What is going on, everybody? I am your host, Dylan Denmark. That is Graham Marsh. Hope everybody is having a good week and a good Thursday morning, as your Florida Gators are the favorite to the Mississippi State Bulldogs somehow, some way. Graham, it amazes me that they were able to still be the favorite throughout the weekend. I mean, things relatively didn't change. I mean, they started as a 6-point favorite. I think I saw one book had it go to 4.5, but went back to 5. I guess Mississippi State really is not that good. Put it to you like this: I tried to find highlights of the Mississippi State Toledo game before we started this, and I couldn't find anything on YouTube. Like, it was all like reaction shows like this, or the only thing I could really find was on ESPN.com when they would post the highlights of the game. It was only the big plays. It was only like a minute. So, like, you couldn't even find anything, which was really bizarre to me. The big news that came out yesterday was on the injury front. Eugene Wilson's still going to be out for Saturday. Florida's actually going to have 4 receivers out. I mean, we already knew Khalil Jackson was out for the season. Hawkins is questionable. Frazier is going to be out. So it's pretty much going to be the same game that was played last Saturday going into this Saturday on the injury front.
Well, Jaquavion Frazier contributes so much week in, week out that we're really gonna miss him on Saturday. No, in all seriousness, with Trey Wilson out, I mean, what? But what? Then name me the explosive player on offense when Trey Wilson don't play. I mean, come on.
Badgers right now. That's it.
I know the Gators are favored. I get it, and I know Mississippi State's really, 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 really bad. Would you bet on this football team?
No,
I would not. Everybody at home, if you work hard during the week to earn your money, if you work for the American dollars that you get paid every other week or every Friday or however your company does your paychecks, do not bet on this football team. Please do not bet on this football team. Please don't do it. We respect you guys too much to allow you to lose money on a Billy Napier-led football team right now. I mean, I don't care if Mississippi State's terrible. I don't know how the game's going to turn out. Florida might win because Mississippi State is that bad. But nobody in good conscience can bet on this team. They just can't, especially when Trey Wilson doesn't play. I mean, forget it, man.
Can I say this before we dive into the head coaching search? I'm fully on board. I know we talked about this Tuesday. I'm fully on board. This is going to be Billy's last game, because there's no way that Billy's going back to the Swamp. If Florida had a 3-game road stretch, I would probably tell you, yeah, he'd probably be the coach of the next couple games, but Billy can't coach again in the Swamp, which is going to be the next game after this game against UCF in 2 weeks after the bye week. So we get to enjoy that. I think this is going to be Billy's last game. We got to enjoy it. We have to soak up the moment. You know, we didn't get to do that with Dan Mullen. It was, dang, he lost to Missouri. Oh, next day he's fired. With McElwain, it was, oh, dang, we just got lost to Georgia, and now he's gone. So you have to enjoy the moment. I mean, you could get a friend and tell them, hey, when they go pistol, you can convince them that they're going to throw the ball. And then you can tell them, hey, I'll bet $5 on this play they're going to run the ball. And then you can convince them to say, they might pass it. You know, try to get – so you can win some money. You got to have fun in this. There's a point in this game. You can't take it so serious as to wins and losses and being mad about Billy Napier. You got to turn it around and have fun. That's my idea for the game Saturday.
My idea for the game is just count down the days. Dylan, I will never go as far as to say I don't want the Gators to win. I can't physically when my eyes watch the Florida Gators, like, my brain has to root for success. So I can't physically say, like I can never physically root for them to lose. I will say, though, to your point about you are convinced this is Billy Napier's last game, I think, because we talked about this the other day, I think I disagree with you that if Billy wins, he'll still get fired. I don't believe they're going to fire him even if he wins the football game. Now, does that really matter long term? No, but I believe that if they lose, understanding how bad Mississippi State is, I think the pressure will be enough to where Strickland or the boosters or the president, or I'm not really sure who's making this decision right now, will have to pull the trigger. But I do think, Dylan, and I want to maybe kind of venture into this topic right now, and I want to get your thoughts. I think there might be merit to this whole, like, what's the point in firing him right now thing. And I know what the point is. You know what the point is. The fans know what the point is. The point is because you got to give this program a spark somehow. You got to give the people that show up to work every day a reason to show up to work every day, between staff, between players, everybody. That's the reason that you would fire him right now. And that's the reason that you basically would move on from him now for morale, right? Which is not a bad reason. I don't think that's a bad reason. I think that's justifiable enough to do it, particularly if they keep losing. But from a practicality standpoint, does it make sense to do it right now? I don't know the answer to that. The buyout is going to shrink dramatically if you let him coach through the end of the season. And that's part of it, but I don't know how much that really matters that much. I mean, we've seen time and time again in the past. Every program if they're unhappy enough with their coach, they'll find the money. The buyout is kind of whatever. And that's sort of off to the side. It's just sort of a small reason. The bigger thing at play here is, I'm not sure who steps in and is the interim. I've heard Dan Enos would be the guy. Sure, that's fine, whatever. Don't really care at this point. It's more so, okay, you're not going to hire the next guy until at least after the regular season. And if you want to hire Lane Kiffin, more than likely they're going to be in the college football playoff. And you're not going to be able to hire him until probably after that. So with all of that time, and then coming back to the buyout conversation, is $26 million worth morale? Is really the question I'm asking here.
Yeah, I don't think the money. I mean, the difference in money.
Let me cut you off real quick. I'm sorry. I know I literally just teed you off and then cut you off. I'm sorry. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'm not even saying that I agree with this method. Continue.
No, I hear you. I don't think there's a difference in the buyout. I don't think that's, like you said, the reason for him staying now or him waiting another month to be fired is because of the buyout. It is something that I've thought about because, I mean, does anybody's mind change if, say the DC gets elevated, that the defense is going to play better? Or how's the offense going to change when Billy Napier is your play caller on offense? He's the one that's tied the most to Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway.
Yeah.
I just, if you have another poor performance against Mississippi State, like you've had the first 2 out of 3 weeks, I don't think there's any way you can keep them. And then another thing, no fans are going to want to show. The only reason the fans are going to show up to that UCF game is just to boo Billy Napier. If they do win in convincing style, I do see a way that he can keep his job for another couple of weeks, and then let go in another month or so. But I mean, the difference in change between Billy Napier staying and Billy Napier being gone, say Sunday or Monday, I mean, I don't know if there's much of a difference. I don't think, the morale of the team. I mean, yes, things can change. I'm trying to think back to when the last 2 guys, when Dan Mullen and McElwain got let go in the middle of the season, what those games looked like. I remember in 2017, the Florida State game was terrible. What was it, 2021 after Missouri? I don't even remember the Florida State game.
The Gators won. It was in Gainesville. It was Mike Norvell's first Florida State game. He escapes my name, but the running backs coach for Dan Mullen was the interim for that game. Anthony Richardson played. Damian Pierce played. Because that's not a backfield you want to trot out there for more than the end of the season, just a throwaway game,
Was that the game where Damian Pierce got his helmet ripped off and he was okay.
In the swamp during the day. It was a noon game.
Yeah. On Nickelodeon.
Yeah. In 2017, I'm sure you remember the game that Matt got fired. And I honestly, I believe this is what will happen with Billy. It might be Mississippi State, who knows? But say it's not Mississippi State. Say they keep him beyond that. Okay. Even with my theory here that I'm just kind of floating out there of does it make sense right now with the buyout and with, morale and all that, and when can you hire the next guy, and with all that stuff, even with all that true, the reality is Saturdays are emotional days in college football for everyone involved, right? And it's one thing for us to say on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday during the week and speculate what they're going to do a month down the road. But the truth is, on Saturdays, if the performance continues to be this poor, eventually, again, I'm not really sure who's making this decision right now. It's been such a gray area with that.
It sounds like it's the boosters.
It sounds like it is too. Eventually, what they watch on Saturday is going to make them so upset that they're just going to do it. And I don't know if that's Mississippi State. Maybe it's not, because Mississippi State might be that bad. So maybe he wins. Maybe he sticks around for another couple of weeks. Okay. Well, let me paint this picture for you, Dylan. Let's say you and I are really influential boosters for the Gators, right? And we are like part of this decision. Like, we're in the meetings. We are like talking about this, okay? And you and I went to Florida back, 20 years ago, whatever, and we're diehard fans, and this program means everything to us. And we're in the swamp, or we're watching on TV, and we watch our alma mater get their ass kicked by UCF. Would that piss us off enough to say, all right, this is over, we're getting his ass out of here? Probably.
Yes.
What if it's going up to Knoxville and Tennessee hanging 100 points on them? Would that do it? Probably. What if it's not that? What if it's the Florida-Georgia game that we all love, and we all go to the stadium in downtown Jacksonville, and the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, and Georgia beats them by 100? What if it's at Texas? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, at some point, they are going to have a performance bad enough, stacked with all these other performances bad enough, to piss everyone off enough that makes decisions to be like, all right, it's time. You got to get him out.
I mean, before you even play Georgia and Texas, you got to play Kentucky. Can you imagine if Kentucky beats you by 24 or 30?
Yeah.
Like
in Gainesville, by the way.
Right, that's in Gainesville, and a team that Billy Napier will say he's never beaten. Like, how embarrassing is that? That you've been a coach at the University of Florida for 3 years and you haven't beaten Kentucky. Like, that is terrible, man. I mean, it's almost like if this continues and Billy's a coach through the month of September into October, like, you could say, and I know this has already been brought up at the station, I've seen a clip from Frangie, like, Florida is on par with Vanderbilt. Like, Vanderbilt, we all know, is the team in the SEC that just goes out there and just gets slacked by everybody. And it seems like that's what Florida's on par for if, say whatever happens this game, but down the road, if you keep Billy Napier for the next couple of weeks, like, why would anybody think that anything's going to change throughout the season? Because here's the thing. You have training camp that's now in college football that starts in late July, and now we're almost at the end of September. I got news for you. Teams don't change. They might get a little better here. They might get a little better there. The quarterback might, see the field a little bit better. But having blown coverages doesn't change. Not being physical at the line of scrimmage doesn't change. You're not being able to move anybody on the offensive or defensive line isn't going to change.
Receivers not being open on the field doesn't change. Getting stuffed in pistol formation on first down with Montrell Johnson doesn't change.
No, none of that.
And look, man, one quick thing, like, on the field right now, no disrespect to him. He's a good football player, and he's been a good Gator. Montrell Johnson does not have an explosive bone in his body, bro. I mean, there was a reason. Look, I know we talked about the pass block and everything in the offseason, but there was a reason that last season everyone was calling to put Trevor Etienne in the game. And I know a lot of it's the offensive line. It's not all on Montrell Johnson, but We talked about this in the postgame show on Saturday against Texas A&M. It feels like there is a different spark. There's a different bump of energy. There's a different feel when Trayon Webb is in the game or when Jaden Ball is in the game. When Montrell goes in there, man, like Montrell's a good back, but it just feels kind of feels like they're in quicksand running the ball, doesn't it?
Yes,
It
it
just feels
feels
slow.
very. It
And
feels
to bring
very.
it back to the bigger macro perspective that we're talking about with Billy, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I believe it was after the Miami game. Something that I worried about back in 2022 in his first season is back then he was playing all these young guys. He was playing all these guys that Florida fans had wanted to see on the field. He was putting them out there and ready to play. And Trevor Etienne was a true freshman. He was getting snaps, and everybody was saying back then, like, man, this guy, like Billy plays the best guys. This guy will play, he'll play the young guys if they're the best ones out there. What I worried about back then, because we all use that as a positive for Billy, what I worried about back then was, okay, it's easy to play the young guys and play the best guys that you haven't seen yet when they're your guys and the guys in front of them are the old coach's guys. It's easy to do that when that's the truth. But now, and I know the younger guys are obviously still Napier's guys, but the older guys are too. And he doesn't like moving on from. This is the Mertz Lagway thing we've talked about. Like, I think Mertz looked better on Saturday. And if you want to roll with Mertz, that's fine. But you got to understand that you're coaching for your job, brother. You got to understand that you got to be giving people hope for the future. And you got to understand that the entire fan base agrees that this season is already lost. So put the young dude in. I know Mertz is your guy, but you got to move on, man. You got to make decisions. You got to pull triggers here. And it's the same thing with Montrell Johnson. No disrespect, and I'm not saying he shouldn't still be getting carries. But he has shown nothing this season to show that he deserves the lion's share of the carries. Every reason that he is like the overall like starting RB1 and he gets vast majority of the carries is stuff from years past. What has he shown me this year that shows that he should be getting more carries than Trayon Weber? He should be getting more carries than Jaden Ball. And this is, again, I'm kind of picking on Montrell now. I don't mean to do that. But this is kind of true across the board. Where's LJ McCray? Is he on the team? Does he play football? Like, what's going on? These younger corners. You just got Jameer Grimsley from Alabama, the transporter. Where's he? Like, Dijon Johnson played some last week because you had some injuries, but like Bridges is a newer guy. Before he got ejected in the worst hard call I've ever seen, he was one of the only guys showing any life in the backfield. Why is he not playing? Like, what's going on? Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get the point I'm trying to make here?
Yes. Was that ass targeting in the first half?
Yeah, first half.
Okay,
or like
so
late first half, like really right before halftime.
Okay, good. So he'll be able to play the whole game. Graham, last thing before we go here. So this is the odds for Florida's next head coach according to betonline.ag. This one came out 2 days ago. So this came out Tuesday afternoon. Jamie Chadwell came out plus 400. Then it was Lane Kiffin, Deion Sanders, give me a break, Eli Drinkwitz, Brent Key, Schottenheimer, and then it goes on plus 1,000. You have Heupel. Just got one. I didn't really care to go too deep into it, but those are the odds. I like looking at the gambling odds just because people that create the odds, the only thing they care about is what's going to happen, usually on the field for a game and something like this, with what the next hire is going to be.
Yeah.
And those odds can give you a lot of a telltale sign because usually those people that create the odds have an inside scoop. So yeah, Lane Kiffin's number 2. I do want to get into eventually, not now, because we have so much time ahead of us.
Can I cut you off really quick? Sorry.
Yeah.
To the point you just made, we've got a whole lot of time ahead of us. Again, this is just devil's advocate, and I am not even saying that I want this. But I do think as Gator fans, like, we have to remember that as upset as we're going to be and as much as we're going to want Napier fired, unfortunately, trust me, I wish we could. Unfortunately, and I think Gator fans are going to kind of fall into this trap a little bit. Firing Napier now does not allow us to fast forward to November. And I know it kind of feels like it does, doesn't it? Like, doesn't it feel like, okay, now because we fired the coach, now we can fully look toward the coaching search? Well, nothing's going to happen for 2 months. These guys are coaching teams. These guys are not going to leave their team after week 4 or whenever Napier gets fired. I've heard like a couple rumblings about, would Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss No, you're insane. No, he would not do that. Okay, if they make the college football playoff, which I think they're going to do, he's going to coach them till the bitter end. Okay, so I want Napier gone as much as the next guy, and I don't even think it's a bad idea to get rid of him right now. It's just, unfortunately, it doesn't allow us to fast forward until getting to hire the next guy.
Yeah, I mean, you have – I forget how the calendar works in the month of December, but you have the transfer portal window that opens up. Then you have signing day like not long after that, and you have the college football playoff in between all of that. We've seen Brian Kelly leave Notre Dame and go to LSU. However, that was a 14 playoff. And, I mean, we all kind of knew that Notre Dame didn't really have a chance to win the tie. I mean, yes, they had a shot, but, I mean, the odds of them winning the 2 games to hoist the trophy was going to be very slim. You don't know what you're going to have once you get into 12-team playoff and how it's all going to play because we've never seen it before.
Yeah.
So, are you willing to wait for January after everything's already happened and everybody has their team set and then come to University of Florida? That'll be just my last thoughts. I know I was pretty quick, but I mean, that's something that, I don't think fans really fully understand is there is a lot of things that happen now in the month of college football in December that's going to make it very hard for Florida to go out and get a proven coach and make it good.
The calendar's jacked up. Like, if Florida were to hire Kiffin and they are in the college football playoff, then your Florida's 2025 high school class is going to be shot to hell. That's just the truth, because most every recruit of consequence, not all, but most, sign an early signing period. Well, he won't be your coach. He's still going to be coaching. So that's just the fact. Is that a sacrifice that you are willing to make? For me, it is. I would say yes, because I think that the coaching that he's bringing in, plus the fact that he would probably bring in an excellent portal class, plus the fact that the good players on the team right now would be far more convinced to stay if you brought someone in like Lane Kiffin. For a lot of reasons, I would still do it. That's just it's a sacrifice you have to be willing to make.
Yeah, fully agree. Graham, I got to roll. We'll talk to you Saturday after the game at 3:15, 3:30-ish. And we'll talk about the fantastic game between the Florida Gators and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. I think they play the Bulldogs, like 4 times this year? Sanford, Mississippi State, Georgia. There's 3. I think it's 3.
Yeah.
3 times. 3 times playing Bulldogs. So let's be 2-0 against the Bulldogs. So we're not going 3-0. We're going to agree on that, right?
I think I've accepted that much.
Yeah. All right. We'll see y'all then.